Today it's going to be all about the talent. If you would like to know why is the talent important in our life, how we can find out what are our talents, do we use enough talent in our life, do we use our talent in corporate? If you would love to explore all about talent, which me and Catherine, we think they are very crucial in our lives, then stay tuned in. My name is Katarina. I am a member of GFU, Global Institution for Evolving Women, and co-creator of a conscious business platform. And this is Catherine.
Thanks for having me, Katka. I'm Catherine Longi, the Director of Communication at GFU. I'm a diversity and inclusion specialist and have a background in human resource management.
Wonderful. Thank you for accepting my invitation. And let's go directly to explore all about the talent. So, Catherine, could you please share with us, what was the journey of yours in terms of finding your talent and linking all your life, and what are you doing at the moment with that talent, and why is it important for us to understand and discover our talent and linked it to our job? And also, that's
wonderful.
That's for the
a lot
beginning.
In one go, right?
Let's take it to that.
Let's take it step by step.
Step by step.
So first of all, talent is so important in organizations, and I think people intellectually get, yes, talent, people, we've got to find it, we've got to develop it, we've got to manage it. I think people intellectually get that this is an important subject matter. I was really fortunate to start my corporate career at Bloomberg in New York, where the approach to talent back in the early noughties, just to date myself a little bit, was that they were looking for good quality people. They were looking for talent that they could grow, harness, and develop. So it was very much, we were blank canvases when we were really hired for their graduate development program back in the day. And I loved, as a new recruit, I loved being selected for my potential. Like, I have the potential to grow, and this company is going to really support me in that. And my initial experience was there was great learning and development training opportunities. Early in my career, I really had freedom and autonomy to grow and develop. What I found over the years, as another decade rolled by, was that increasingly companies were really struggling to attract, grow, and develop their talent. And it became almost like something to manage, like, 9-box, like high potential, how to identify your high potentials, putting people in boxes, and selecting people down, creating lots of plans that never were implemented, and it became this like difficult thing to manage. I personally, over the last 5 years, have actually spent a lot of my own personal money and personal time and personal effort in developing myself, in training myself, in discovering and unlocking my own talents on my own personal dime, because I find there aren't many companies nowadays that are really doing it well, because companies are stuck between the old, so where you have to train people to do a job, and they're not quite to the new, where employees and people drive their own development, and where you have a humanistic approach and a real personal, because what's required for that is that line managers have a real personal connection with their people, and that relationships, the line manager relationship, is strong, and there's a conflict between a hierarchical system of top down and a grassroots, like, hey, we're employees, we want to develop, and enrolling their hierarchy in their own development.
Beautiful. Do you recognize these guys in your companies? I certainly do. And as a manager, I'm really getting something from your share and really questioning myself how well I'm developing the talent in my team. Am I ticking boxes, or am I really understanding each of the individual in such a way that I exactly know what are their talents, or I'm just assuming talents out of the job description?
Yeah, and don't worry, you and every other line manager out there will be experiencing the same thing, because one thing we don't do for our employees is we don't actually empower them to to really own their own careers. Like once or twice a year, you'll have an annual performance review, and you might ask your staff like, oh, like what do you want to grow and develop in? And people will be like, I'd like project management. And you might have an opinion about that, like, oh really, but you don't manage any projects, or oh, where did that come in, or how does that fit in, or I don't think you're actually going to be that good at it. Do you really, want to develop in that? And employees, they might ask for something that they think is a good idea, but it's more like because they can't think of anything, else. And sometimes employees are afraid to tell you what they really want because of how you might react to it. And this is where, developing great and open communication, that employees feel like they can just say what they secretly want, even if they don't think you'll approve, and that you have that open communication. So that's another transformation that needs to happen.
Beautiful. And so I would like to know that you mentioned that you invested your time and your resources to discover your talents. And I have the similar journey with you. I really resonate with it. And I would love to know if you can share, once you discover these talents, what is at the moment available for you in your life to inspire people? Why, just to bring that, why is it actually important to look up and search the real true talents which is in us? So what's at the moment possible for you? And
I'll share my experience of a specific talent tool called Talent Dynamics, which was created by Roger James Hamilton, who runs a company called Entrepreneurs Institute. So it was created really for entrepreneurs, but if you take it in the corporate context, we all need to be entrepreneurs of our own careers. And when I took that test about 5 years ago, what that revealed to me is that the things I'm the best at, training, coaching, developing others, presenting, sharing, I wasn't actually using like any of that in my day job. So I started on a journey of, okay, how can I actually use a bit more of my talents in my day-to-day job? And then with each subsequent opportunity I sought opportunities that were more and more aligned with my talents, to a point where today, 5 years later, talent isn't something I have to work at anymore. It's like something I've discovered and I know, and I can articulate to others. So I can express my value add to others, whether it's in job interviews or pitching for a contract. And I can be really clear also when people make requests of me, like, well, how I would propose I deliver that to you is in this way, which is aligned with my talents. So that's not something I have to actively manage or try so hard at, but what it's created is a real purposeful career. So now I can decide where I want to focus my talents and what difference I want to make using that talent. And that's how I've become a diversity and inclusion specialist from an HR specialist, and also how I became the director of communication at JIFU, because those activities are now aligned with my purpose. And that's a whole nother conversation. But what's available through really harnessing your talents is joy and satisfaction and fun and self-expression, which you can then build on to really create intentionally your purposeful career.
Beautiful. And one actually, another benefit, what I would like to add to all those you mentioned is, when you are using your talent, you feel like being on flow, and actually the amount of energy you are putting in those activities are pretty small comparing to those activities you do which are not your talents. So that's what I would love to share, because when I am using my talent, everything feels that I'm doing with ease. And that can save you energy, that can make you really happy and joyful, and that's how you can build really a joyful team.
And just to expand on the individual, so taking it from the micro level, like that's what individuals can experience, but the power in the organization, the productivity that's then unleashed as an organization becomes exponential. And there's one pitfall or block in the current in the current system of employment we have, which is that the system of employment we currently have, as was created by industrialists over 100 years ago, exchanging time for money, this system really suits people who have talents that are like production talents, like people who are really producers, people who can, analyze large chunks of data, like, finance people, accounting people, and, people who really are results driven. And this isn't the reality. Those talents are actually just one element of talent. Other talents like creation, people talents like networking or identifying talent, a little bit maybe some more like service oriented, customer service, human resources, those aren't necessarily like output driven functions. So it's been my own personal experience, but I've also seen it from a systemic point of view as an HR person, that the current structure of work actually isn't set up to value all talent equally. So it's something to be aware of, particularly the more and more people that you manage, or if you're a human resource or people professional, that you want to try to put things in place to sort of counteract that. It's a kind of unconscious bias in a way, because you don't understand that the system is a little bit rigged to overvalue some talents and undervalue others.
Really good. And actually, by you mentioning those talents which are dominated maybe and more looked after, I had actually idea how this can be linked to artificial intelligence. Is there any link artificial intelligence with this developing those soft skill talents? What would do you see any kind of interaction between talents and artificial intelligence?
Yeah. The connection for me, or the caution for me about artificial intelligence, is actually who's creating it. So firstly, so if you're creating for talent, that the people behind the artificial intelligence who are creating it have a mixture of talents. And that's the same thing I would advise if it was a diversity and inclusion lens or diversity and inclusion approach, that when you're creating any technology, you actually want to have a diverse and inclusive group of people creating that technology, so that it actually serves all of society and not just the parts of society from the representative group. So in answer to your question about artificial intelligence, I think it absolutely has a role to play. And before we can even go into the how, to me, you have to start with like who's creating it and the talents that are creating something for talent.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Catherine, for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Before we end up this beautiful discussion, would you like to give your last message or advice to the individuals, but also the organizations around the talents?
Yeah, so for all people, your talent is your special gift only you have. So, discover it, develop it, cherish it, give it abundantly. And for those of you who manage people, please create an environment as a leader that your people feel empowered to grow themselves, and to share and to communicate and contribute.
And be the best.
Be the best you can be, because you can only be you.
Exactly.
So just be the best version of you. And everyone's better off. Like everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank
this beautiful wisdom you share with us, and hopefully you guys are inspiring, and
see you next time.
Stay tuned, because we'll be bringing more and more interesting topic to inspire you and shift the conscious business further. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.